what's up guys? This is Tim Wright. We're at Ponce City Market today, and we got a backstage pass from Francis at Jamestown. We're gonna show you the overview of the project, the conversion history, and the phase 2 that just wrapped up. Yeah, buckle up. Well, we got a good bit of Halloween activity happening.
Yes, it's one of our president's favorite holidays, so we always go crazy for Halloween.
Cool.
We had, when we first opened, we had Flash Mob, when those were still like a big thing.
Yeah.
They came and did Thriller.
Oh, that's fun.
In the whole market hall. It was amazing.
Cool, so this is the diagram of everything we've...
That's right. So the historic property, 2 million square feet, is this building, this historic building, and then the corner building. So this building was built in 2 tranches in the 1920s, 26 and 28. They decided they needed a little bit more here. And then they built this wing in the 40s, and then this wing in the 60s, 66. Okay. So all of that, you know, in the heyday of Sears, this was the distribution center for the entire Southeast and fulfillment center. And so hence the belt line, what was the rail line, there was a whole spur that came into the building. Any products that were ordered from the Sears catalog, you know, we like to say it was the original Amazon. You can order a hat, you can order a baseball bat, you can order a bicycle, you can order a house kit, and everything in between. All of that came, you know, the rail cars would come, everything gets loaded, offloaded, and then shipped back out to anywhere where it was going, all the southeastern states. When we came in, so Sears had it for till about the 1970s. They closed it. This was a retail component too, and all their offices in addition to the fulfillment center. And so the retail component, which is now the market hall, this first floor, is where most people who lived in Atlanta would come, and nearby areas would come and purchase things. And so kind of our market hall is very much an homage to the retail center that it was before,
the
destination. And so they had it through the 1970s, closed it, the city came in the 1990s and utilized it, and essentially they wanted to bring all of their different various buildings into one building because of the square footage, and they had called this City Hall East. So most folks knew this as City Hall East. It's where you came to pay your parking tickets. It's where all of the volunteers for the 1996 Olympics came to get trained. But the city never fully utilized all of the building, and it became very expensive for them to maintain and to run from an electricity standpoint and HVAC. So they ended up moving out and down to where they are today, and the building sat vacant for a very long time. There were several rounds of potential redevelopment, but everything kept falling through in the early 2000s. And then we ended up purchasing the building from the city of Atlanta in 2011. Mayor Kasim Reed at the time, you know, was very pro-development and we were able to kind of figure something out with him to really have something, kind of what had become an eyesore, have something positive come out of it. So that's the historic building. The one-story building over here was the Sears Auto Center. So you can imagine everywhere where there's a Sears department store, there are Sears Auto Centers, they just were. So that also had been...
I never realized this was historic or part of the original plan. I thought it was just kind of one story.
It was built later, it was built later, but it was part of the whole Sears store. So it's mid-1900, like 1950 vintage. When the city owned it, this is where all of their police vehicles and service vehicles were both serviced and fueled. And then when we came in, Dancing Goats on the corner was the first thing to open, and then we had our development offices there as well. So it was the first kind of that, along with a few buildings across the street at Southern Dairies, was really what was here, and that was about it. So we bought the building in 2011 and began redevelopment. There was an extensive remediation and abatement period during that time. Throughout the entire building. At the same time, we were in talks with National Park Service, who had requirements as well for what we came back with as part of the redevelopment. And so we actually changed out, kept all of the original frames in the historic building, window frames, scraped them all, abated them all, and then reglazed them, 67,000 panes of glass, because they're all very small. National Park Service had us come back with single pane glass, because that's what was original to the building. So luckily it didn't have a huge effect from a LEED perspective on the building, and But that's what we have. That was kind of that among many other things, huge remediation efforts. And then we started programming and bringing all of the tenants in. And kind of coming up with the vision, which changed, of course, over the years.
Yeah.
And so today we have about 600,000 feet of office in this building, which are primarily in this main sections, floors 3 through 9. And then the first 2 floors are Market Hall here, of course, which you can go see through. We have about 600,000 feet of office, about 300,000 feet of retail, spread throughout kind of the ground plane. This building, primarily first floor and a few second floor spaces as well in the building, and then the services building as well. And then we have 259 flats, residential units, ranging from studios to 3 bedrooms. And those are within both of these wings. So the upper floors, so 3 through 9 here, are flats units, and then here in an L shape, we have flats units as well. So following the window line. Because everybody at the time, nothing was around here, and everybody said, you need more parking, you need more parking. People have to come here and drive to come here. Beltline wasn't open yet. So we actually utilized the building itself because it was built like a tank, and parked it. And so a lot of the parking is nested inside the building on floors 2 through 7 in this wing.
Cool.
And there's office on 8 and 9. So
you don't have to reinforce it at all?
No.
It's just, wow.
It was
strong
250 pounds per square foot. It was pretty crazy.
Okay,
and you only need 100 for parking.
Oh, wow. All right, so this opened 2014, is that right?
2014 and 2015. So it was a bit of a rolling opening. The first office tenants, Jamestown included, moved in 2014. Additional and Athena Health at the time was one of the first tenants to come in. 2015, a lot of the other office tenants came in. Flats as well between end of 2014, early 2015, and then our retail was summer of 2015.
Okay. Yeah.
So retail lagged a little bit, but we.
All right, now tell us about phase 2. So we've got a couple of new buildings.
So phase 2, we do. We have 3 new buildings. I mentioned the parking, so we actually built that parking deck during 2014 because, again, everybody was so worried about our parking. Coincidentally enough, we have over 20% of the people who come to the property today come in off the Beltline, either on a bicycle or a scooter or a pedestrian, and so it's a great stat. And then we're also the number 2 Uber destination, only behind the airport in Atlanta. And so because of that, we have the density, but because of that and the efficiency that we have with the parking, we were able to reconfigure some of the parking actually from that initial intent. All of this is above a lower level of parking as well, the entire site.
I was curious. So did y'all dig that out?
So everything, it was.
Wow.
Yeah, it was the belly of the beast. And so, with one exception here, we went down. This actually was a parking lot originally. When we did the initial redevelopment, we took out the parking deck and it was surface lot. And then when we rebuilt this building, we went down a level. So Signal House, we just opened last year, 162 multifamily units, primarily 2 bedroom, 2 bath, on top of the parking that we built in 2014. Mass Timber building. This is a 4-story office building. The top 3 floors are office. Ground floor retail. Pottery Barn moved from Lenox, so this is their flagship store now. They take the majority of that first floor of retail. What's cool about this building is that it is all made, the structure, it's a mass timber building, but it's made with southern yellow pine, grown and milled in Georgia. So it's all local.
Local grown.
First of its kind. We created our own supply chain.
Wow.
Every piece of the supply chain was within a 200-mile radius. It was fabricated in Dothan, Alabama, and then we came right back up.
Pretty cool.
Yes, very cool. We're excited.
Okay, and this is another apartment tower.
And then Scout Living, it's actually hospitality living. So it is 405 units. We just opened it earlier this week. It is flexible stay, so you can stay for a night, stay for a week, stay up to a year. It's all on a daily rate, and that rate fluctuates depending on which unit you're in, how long your stay is, and whatnot. But they're all fully furnished. 300 of those 405 are what we call kind of a single unit. It's less than 400 square feet, so it feels very European, very New York. But we made it, live large. We feel we lots and lots of detail went into
This
all of
opened
those units.
this week?
Yeah, Monday.
Wow. Congratulations.
September 30th. Thank you. Yes.
Pretty big.
That was our last piece of phase 2 to open. So yeah.
Good deal. What else do we need to know about kind of the site plan if we want to go take a look at the rooftop?
So rooftop, yep, this was the first rooftop of its kind. We, when we came here and we were programming, we just said, I mean, we have so much square footage up here. How can we really have everybody enjoy it? The views up there, and we can go up there, but the views from up there are just incredible.
Yeah.
And so initially, because of the Ponce Springs, the history of the site, we are, before Sears was here, this was the site Ponce de Leon. There's a Ponce de Leon in every city, I feel like, on the hunt for the Fountain of Youth.
Yeah.
This was Ponce Springs, and so this was an amusement park actually, where people would come and get rejuvenated, and Ferris wheels. We found old postcards and photos and things like that.
So where was the spring? We were talking about that before.
Below the building.
Right below. Okay.
It was below the building, and now actually it's kind of an apex of a lot of the City of Atlanta infrastructure. It comes below us, so we still deal with the city quite a bit. Some pretty large trunk lines.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have a high water table up here because of the springs. But part of that, and bringing that thought of amusement is what really informed what we ended up doing to activate the roof. So we built a whole roof on top of the existing roof to be able to support it.
Yeah.
And initially kind of set up this Coney Island feeling with all of the games and boardwalk, and bring it back to that amusement park feel. We have an event space over here we created, again with the views that you'll see shortly.
Yeah.
And then a beer garden came next on the roof in this corner.
It's funny, this little peninsula piece, and so in the 9 Mile restaurant, that's my wife and I got engaged right on that little spot. Yeah, they sat us there. Anyway, so it was
too funny. Great
ago.
night. Yeah, so you know the views.
I do. Yeah, they're great.
They are great.
Special night. But yeah, I heard, so 9 Mile Station, that was the train station that was here.
That's
so they
right.
named the restaurant after that.
That's right. There's
That
a lot
was
of
special.
history. RFD Social, which is
it's like a speakeasy up there.
It
Yeah,
is,
pretty
and
cool.
that was named after the radio station that used to broadcast out of the building.
Okay. Very cool.
So lots of history. We tried to be true to the building.
Yeah.
And really come back and celebrate all the character that we have. These are part of the original, from the original electrical room.
Yeah.
So those were real switches that were used
They're huge.
to power the building.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. There's just a lot of really great old cool stuff. The building has such a history with the city, and it was so iconic, in so many people's lives that it was.
It's great.
Just wanted to honor that a little bit, but give it a new, fresh feel.
Yeah. Well, y'all have done a great job. It's become the epicenter. Anybody that's coming to Atlanta, it's like, just go to Ponce. That's the place to go.
Hopefully.
You got
The goal is
Beltline.
you can find everything you need and want,
Yeah.
all in one place.
Okay.
Okay. So we kept all the original floors, all the original columns. These are some of the original floors as well. We really just tried to, salvage as much as we could and celebrate it. It's funny, on the office side of things, when we first moved in here, or when we first, started undertaking 600,000 feet of office, initially we did not think that was going to lease up first.
Yeah.
And surprisingly it did. But all of the brokers that we had come in here, they said, Class A office in a loft style does not exist in Atlanta at the time, 2011, 2012. They just said it's not a thing. It's not going to work. Your decks are too low. We have 10-foot floor to ceiling deck.
You have a pretty cool office.
It's an amazing office. This is our office.
This has got to be one of the coolest lobbies I've seen.
So we ended up, that's the ball from One Times Square, which we also own and are redeveloping. So that was the ball that was there from 1955 to 1998 on top of the building.
Wow.
Not related to Ponce.
Yeah.
But that's what that is.
amazing.
So the brokers kept saying, there's no way, nobody can envision it. This is not what it looked like. We had to demo a lot and clean it up, blast all the columns. But we said, okay, let us show you. And so since we had designed our office already, we knew we were moving in. We built out a mock-up of about 10,000 feet of what our office was going to be anyway. So it would just get incorporated in, and utilize that to be able to walk people through, prospective tenants through, and brokers, and then they can say, oh, okay, now I get it. Like, you don't have to have a drop ceiling. You know, if you're really thoughtful about how you're running all of your mechanical and electrical, you can really, you know, we have a medium oval loop, and so you can be tight to the deck and you're not impacting, you know, your sight lines.
Make it work.
Right, and it all goes away.
I heard a great story about this. Athena Health. I was at a company called Avison Young. The story goes, they were working with Athena Health and came here and brought their whole real estate team, and they wouldn't even get out of the car.
Yep.
And
the neighborhood was quite different.
Yeah, they were like, we need to, let's take it off the list. Let's go to the next one. And I think the CEO came to town and he was like, show me something different. I've seen all these normal office buildings. He came here and was like, this is it. This is where we're going.
We had a very curated tour route, and again, the Beltline wasn't open yet. And so it was this was a really difficult thing for folks to visualize when we were under redevelopment, because the building was very much under construction. It was a sold building. Beltline isn't what it is today. It wasn't even open yet. And so all of that was just this pipe dream that people just couldn't imagine. And so we would be out there on what was at the time the dirt path of the bike of the Beltline, you know, on our bikes and walking and showing that this is how it's going to be active, and get out here and, you know, just walk right up. And so we really had to be able to sell the vision and show the vision that wasn't as, during construction, you know, wasn't as evident, perhaps. And so once we built the mock-up and kind of showed everybody, like, look, you can really be thoughtful, that's why it leased up right away. We got a couple, and then we said, okay, well, if those companies are coming, I guess it's cool enough we can come. Oh, you can leave it here and come back.
No, it's all right, I got it.
Okay.
I look like I'm going to class or something. I was up in New York.
No, Chelsea Market. It's up there, much smaller office. So all of our support staff is here. Oh, where am I going? Oh my gosh.
Was there anything that you wish you had saved that you weren't able to?
No, we saved a lot.
Just about
We saved everything that we could. We have artifacts throughout. A lot of the office spaces have artifacts. Actually walked our storage yesterday to figure out if we could throw out anything. Lots of artifacts.
How much do y'all have in storage?
We saved the things that were cool.
Yeah.
There were some things we couldn't save for environmental reasons, or it was rusted through.
Asbestos on it.
Yep. So this is no, I feel like we did a really great job. These are all pictures that we took. Blake took.
That's why I asked. I'm like, what? Y'all did about everything.
We tried to save as much as we could. I mean, it was just such a. I mean, these were in the restrooms. These are in the public restrooms today. Still, we refurbished them and brought them back. I mean, we just really wanted to be true to the building.
Yeah.
I mean, it lasted, right? We're on our 100-year anniversary almost.
Gosh, what a day.
What a day. We were the first rooftop attraction.
Yeah.
If you can believe that, which nobody today can believe that.
Yeah.
But in 2011 and 2012, when everyone was saying, I mean, there wasn't a roof. This wasn't a thing. People didn't go to rooftops. We officed actually in the 999 Peachtree building, and so we were on the top floor there, and we would look over here, which actually was the only thing that you could see. It was the tallest thing with the water tower in the area, all green. And so we really, again, embraced it and really wanted to find something. You know, this location is actually at the apex of 4 very different neighborhoods today, and so that was really intentional in our retailing curation, in our food hall creation, bringing something that all of those people could come back and have a community hub again, which is what it used to be. So all of the different components of it were really part of that.
Right. So Slater, Hospitality, they
operate the roof now.
Every inch of it, even the event space over there. That's all.
It's all through them. Yep. When we first opened, we operated the event space. They had this area. 9 Mile came later, but they've ended up incorporating all of it. We have a water tower, like an actual water tank up there in the water tower, still functioning.
You said that it just.
You can see it through the.
Okay, so it's in there.
Yep, it's in there.
That's insane.
It is in there. So from this vantage point, again, one of the only places in this area You can see, not from right here on the other side, you can see Stone Mountain. On a day like today you could. You can see North Buckhead, east or west, northwest, midtown, and downtown. And so you really...
It's a great spot.
Right, it's just this incredible spot. And we like to, super excited, almost everything that you see looking south was not here when we started the redevelopment. Yeah. So all of that multifamily.
Yeah, how many apartments now? 4,000 units or something?
Oh, insanity.
Yeah,
a lot.
From here to Krog, just...
Yep, blowing up.
Sure.
So we like to think we were definitely helpful in that, being a catalyst.
You were the
yes.
that and the Beltline.
That's right, which we worked hand in hand. I will say this was very much the biggest partnership that we could have done. We had the Beltline as a partner and the city.
Was this section being paved while you were doing the redevelopment?
Yeah.
Which was first?
They opened up just before we did.
Okay, it's pretty intense.
But yes, we were coordinating all of our access points. They were figuring things out too. This was the first section of rail that was completed. And so, we had so much collaboration with them, so much.
That's great.
So we're still good partners today.
That's the area that entrance is so well built. Mm-hmm. It's just like...
Feels seamless, right?
Yeah, it does.
There was a lot of coordination on that. Just access, we just had to work it all out. Same with the city. We built our residential here. They were happy to be a partner because they really wanted something. They were happy we weren't tearing the building down. They wanted, to be helpful in any way possible. And we worked with them to create one of their first land use agreements for affordable housing. Before that was a requirement in different areas of the city, right? And so from day one, we've had affordable in our flats residential units. So I would say that partnership has been absolutely critical to the success of everything in the area. But yeah, there have a couple events going on. This place was booked up. It's booked up most days.
A lot of weddings, corporate events.
Corporate buyouts. Yeah, it can fit so many people and there's not really much like it.
Where is this?
That was downstairs.
That's in the main atrium?
Not anymore. That's before we demoed. So this is what a lot of the spaces. We came in and did photography before we did any of the demos. So these are some of the offices. When we closed, actually, that night they handed over all of the original blueprints that they had. They had this big storage box, and we started going through them.
Wow.
And everything, legit blueprints, and everything was, Mr. Thompson's office, that's how it was labeled. It became very personal. Yeah. And we would do the amount of tours we did, especially reopening. We had so many people come in here and tell us about the stories that they had. My grandmother worked here. This is where I got my first bike.
Yeah, all that stuff.
Yeah, there was just such a history here. So Market Hall curation. We have a huge amount of local tenants.
Yeah. Y'all did. You knocked it out of the park with the food selection.
Well, this was another thing that the city didn't have. And
what?
So
a
market hall. Market hall didn't exist at the time, and so same thing. We were telling everybody what we were doing, but they couldn't envision it. I'm actually going to walk us through this way.
Okay.
No, we'll go this way quickly. It's one of the freight elevators, and we just loved it. So we welded it in place. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Train would come in here, get filled up. This all had a roof on it, and so the steel beams are original, but we peeled off the roof. Okay. This is a new building that we added, but everything else, this was all under, this was where they would come and eat, a cafeteria. And so all of this was under a roof. We peeled that off. Our mass timber building, 2 of the 3 floors are leased and they're under construction right now to Sage Software.
That was a tough deal. And I think they wanted to do some pretty different kind of build out. And I think at one point entertained doing an internal staircase, which was insanely expensive because they had to refortify.
They are doing it.
Oh, they're actually doing it. Okay, got it.
So this is Scout Living that I mentioned.
Yeah.
And then this is our mass timber building. So Southern Yellow Pine, hey Tyler. Southern Yellow Pine, shared courtyard here, lower level parking that actually connects to the existing lower level parking that we have.
Wow.
Yep, we have a connection below.
Okay.
So seamless, everything is shared. We don't really have reserved parking. There's just such efficiency with the different uses on site that it makes sense that it all works really well.
Yeah.
And
It's got a good smell.
yes. Doesn't it make you feel comfortable?
Yeah.
So the second floor here, it's about 28,000 feet. So I mentioned Pottery Barn has the majority of the ground floor. Not structural, just decorative.
Yeah.
We used mostly Jamestown timber, so we own timberland as well. And so it's a 26-year life cycle to maturation of southern yellow pine tree. So we utilized a lot of ours, Georgia Pacific, worked with them to create our own supply chain. I guess my point of your question, it's milled in sections, so like a 2x6 or a 2x4, and they're all glued together. So it's a super engineered, highly engineered product. It's not just like a log or a few logs. It's milled into what you would, the boards that you would typically find at a sawmill or lumber yard, but then it's all pressed together, glued, highly engineered, and then it goes through a CNC machine, which just means it makes those really nice tight joints, the finishing, and then when it comes out here, it just goes up like an erector set. So this entire structure was put together by a team of 8 people, 2 women on that 8-person team.
Wow.
Which is pretty amazing.
No nails or anything, just locked together?
A few screws in each connection, that's it. There are metal plates that are hidden, and everything just goes perfectly into place. So it's wonderful. It comes, comes on site, gets lifted into place, and it's done. Keep going.
And the ceiling height was like 16?
Nope, 18? This one is 14. 11 to the purlin, lowest purlin. But what we were really intentional about doing, because when we were designing this, it's during COVID, so office was a little bit of an interesting product to be finalizing design on. So we have operable windows everywhere, but because we didn't have a tenant at that time, we tried to make the space as flexible as possible for a future tenant. And so we intentionally left all of these spaces in between the CLT deck. CLT is cross-laminated timber, which just means it's 3-ply, so it's 3 layers of the 2-bys at perpendicular, so it's about that thick are the planks that are your floor effectively.
Got it.
And then we made these openings so that when the tenant came in and ran their distribution, they would be tight to the deck and not have to like come in and run under or something, come in and run under. We try to keep it all as open as possible. And really it's a 30 by 30 grid, and so trying to just keep everything as open, tons of light, keep it up and out of the way. That was the goal. So we made that part of the design, and then on top of this CLT, the whole assembly, to maintain flexibility, most mass timber buildings, they have concrete poured as your final finished floor, which means that a tenant has to come in. If they run anything below grade, you have to chip it out, or you're running it up. And so we put 2x4s on top of the CLT, so it's about this much CLT, and then we did a 2x4 standing on its side every 12 inches and filled it with sand. And so it has acoustic properties, it gives us our full rating from an assembly standpoint, but it most importantly gives the tenant flexibility to come in. Sage did the same thing. They come in, they pull up anywhere where they need to run anything, they run all their conduit below grade, everything's coordinated, it only comes up exactly where they need it. And then they can choose their finished floor. They have about 1.5 inches to figure out what they want to do. So again, providing as much flexibility. So this actually is the same detail that we have in the historic building. So they did it in the 20s.
They put sand in the...
Sand and sleepers. It's a concrete deck. We have a 4-inch concrete deck. It varies of thickness, but it's a concrete deck instead of CLT. And then we have sleepers and sand, and then the wood floors that we were just walking on are right on top.
Very cool.
So a lot of people told us that we were a little crazy, but
if it works,
it's worked out
simple.
So well upstairs. So well. So yeah, and this is actually really special sand because of the sensitivity to humidity and everything else that we were really mindful of. It came from the same producer as the same sand that goes to Augusta. So this is master sand, so it's super perfect. dry,
Where do you
clean,
source that
all
from?
the
Is
things.
that like a 200-mile radius
It is.
product as well?
It is. It's not that far actually. It just is a very particular. It has to be dried out a lot in advance, which is hard to find because you need enough space to be able to dry it all out. One of the reasons we love this building, our carbon footprint. You know, we just really want everybody to do it. Again, we created our own supply chain. It just seems silly that when you decide to do mass timber, your options are to get your material from the Pacific Northwest or Europe. And we have over 22 million acres of commercially available forest in Georgia. So we just said, how can we make this work? So we're really proud of it. It went up quite quickly.
Yeah, you're telling me it just kind of
goes together. Yep.
Yeah.
What takes a little bit longer is the dry end. So the structure goes up, and this is a concrete core, and then all of the trades kind of come in and fill in afterwards and come up. So
sure.
Yep. It took us about a week and a half a floor, 2 weeks of floor.
It's pretty quick. Yeah.
Structure, yeah, it's really quick. And we had, again, 8 people rigging this. A similar floor, these were going up at the same time for a concrete building.
Okay.
Over 100 people required per floor.
Wow.
Between the shoring and the form, because of the formwork. The rod busters, the concrete finishers, concrete placers, the pumps, all of the concrete drivers, not to mention all the concrete trucks stacked up. So yeah, we're really proud of it.
Good.
Carbon footprint is about 75% less than the exact same building out of concrete by being out of mass timber.
Wow. Sage is on. So
Sage is on 3 and 4.
3 and 4. Okay,
We have
so
the top 2 floors.
Two's open.
Two's open.
Pottery Barn's 1.
That's right.
Is that right? Okay, so this is it.
This is it.
All right.
Last
well, if you're
opportunity.
looking for a really cool office.
Amazing
Great
office.
opportunity. What's up? We're here in Jamestown's headquarters. It's their lobby. Francis Bond just gave us the full tour of Ponce. You'll see that in other parts of the video. We were just talking through Ponce de Leon Avenue was once a spring, Ponce de Leon Springs. Way back in the 1800s, they were building the Belt Line. At the time, was an actual railroad, and the guys that were building out the railroad were just camping next to where they were building. And so they camped there, they keep building, and they ended up getting to the spot where there was these natural springs. And so they started drinking the water. Water, turns out, it has a bunch of iron and natural minerals, and the story goes that their ailments and sicknesses went away within a week. So it was kind of deemed this amazing natural spring. One of the doctors locally called it the Ponce de Leon Springs as an homage to the Fountain of Youth. Quickly, word got out that it was amazing water. These companies started pumping water and started distributing it through the city, and it became, this park where everybody would just kind of conjure, come and drink the water, and then that turned into a theme park. Then that theme park turned into this kind of just central park for entertainment, kind of what Ponce is today. But at the time, it was roaring 20s, and the Sears company came down, and that's when they decided to put their big flagship store and factory down here, which led to more and more commerce in this area. And then that led to the ballpark across the street, which is in here. That original ballpark actually burned down, and this is the Spiller Park, where the Atlanta Crackers, now the Braves, were. So tons of history. This is where it came from. I know most people don't know where Ponce de Leon, or what that reference is, Ponce de Leon Avenue, why that's such an Atlanta thing, but it has an origin, and that's what it is.